would be my advice, is just patience and not just listen to people and listen to what they say, and don't think, oh, well, I know my shit, because you don't know shit. These people know, right? That's, if you're going in, listen to them. They know. And then the second for the franchisee is make sure it's the right choice for you. Just, if you're going on that, like we run an exec model side, so it's a little different, but making sure it's something that fits yourself and your lifestyle, and follow the systems, and don't be a cowboy. There's always, you're going into franchising for a reason, because the system works, the people work, and this, our culture might not fit with everybody, right? So no worries, you'll find something, but patience. I found that too, as a dad of 5 girls. I'd say they're little, they're like 20, 19, 17, 16, 14. So be cool, just relax. If you don't want to have too many gray hairs, you want to just kind of just relax, and life's fun. It's not, it doesn't always have to be the grind, right? So just follow the system, find what's right for you. If it takes you 6 months, take 6 months, because it's life changing.
Welcome to the Art of Franchise Marketing. Each episode takes a deep dive into the franchise space and explores how the biggest and best brands handle national branding, franchise development, employee recruitment, and localized marketing on a daily basis. This podcast is brought to you by NetSertive, a localized digital marketing partner for franchise networks. NetSertive's Madeleine Park talks shop with franchise executives to discuss what's working, what's not, and answers the question, what else can you be doing to excel at the art of franchise marketing?
All right, welcome back to the Art of Franchise Marketing. I'm your host, Madeleine Zook. Today, we have Mark Amory, CEO of Feels Like Friday Service Brands, but probably what we're going to talk about more in particular is Puddle Pools. Mark, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, Mark, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you got into this whole service and then franchising.
Sure. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. It's so I have
no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure, Mark. Myself, I live in Vancouver, BC, Canada. So we're a Canadian-based company. And personally, I'm 47. I have 5 kids, 5 girls. So my house is loud and proud. Yeah. So I've been in the service industry my whole life, and I got into franchising probably like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, kind of thing. And then, and then it evolved from one service brand to the other, to kind of seeing the big picture. So
totally. So 5 kids. Oh my God. I just had my 3rd, and I'm like,
oh, did you? Right on.
Yeah. I was like, why do people do this more than this many times? Then of course I'll probably pop another one out. So who knows?
There you go. Yeah. It's just louder.
Yeah, seriously. It's a big difference going from like man-to-man to zone defense now. I'm like, oh boy.
You gotta pick your battles, right?
5 girls. Whew, that sounds expensive, and also like you're gonna have a lot of fighting off relationships in the future.
That's what I say. You gotta pick your battles, right? It's
seriously. So tell me about Puddle Pools. What do you guys do? What your brand is great. I love the puffer fish. So talk to me about kind of what you guys do and why you chose to go with kind of a more fun brand, where a lot of traditional service brands tend to be pretty stringent.
Yeah. So all of our service brands have that cartoony, happy feel, especially Puddle. Puddle was designed we do residential and commercial pool cleaning, hot tub spas, and water features, right? So yes, we do the residential side, but the commercial side is probably 50-50 of our service scope. But why all of our brands have the same fun. When you move into a buy your own business, or become your own boss, you want it to be fun. It doesn't always have to be strict, but what does that have to be by the book? But it doesn't always have to be. So so having it fun, some of the guys going to work in flip flops is great. So it kind of brings that nice kind of vibe. And when you're around a pool, I've never seen anybody upset or in a bad mood around a pool, really. So kind of we want to bring that same vibe.
I love that. And it's funny, we did like a home services summit, and we had a couple pools on there, and as well as home cleaning or whatever. And what I said about pools is that pools are the only thing that I've ever heard. Like most people are like, oh, I like to clean my own house, or I like to do my own electrical. I'm handy. I've never ever heard
Nobody
someone
says
say,
that.
I like to open my pool. I like to clean my pool. So
Yeah.
I feel like you guys fall really well into there. Now, what other brands are with the Feels Like Friday family?
Yeah, so we have Toodaloo Pest Control. Now these are Canadian based, right? So we have Toodaloo Pest Control. Then we moved out. We had Gorilla Property Services that we actually sold in April. So that one was, we moved on from that one.
Awesome.
We have a couple more coming down the line. So
I like it. I love all the names. How many locations does Puddle have right now?
So Puddle in Canada, we started franchising last year, April, and now we have 12, and then 3 more on the run, and then 2 in the U.S. And we just started franchising in the U.S. in February this year. So,
oh boy,
yeah,
I did obviously the backwards. We were franchising in the U.S. and then we've gone into Canada. We've taken over Canadian, the rights to Canadian
nice.
territories. And talk to me about what it was like to make that decision to franchise in the U.S. Because for us, we see Canada as just this wonderful place, huge areas, like lots of, room for expansion. And I'm sure you see the U.S. as that way too. But there are so many things that people do not think about as they go through that. And so talk to me about your decision to do that and kind of what you're seeing now, since you're deep in the transition now.
Yeah, great question. That's probably the hardest pain point, like going from Canada to US, and maybe the same on the flip, right? It's challenging, and that's where the brand itself and more the business model, I think, plays a huge part from Canada to the US side. From the Canada to the US side, even though like it become, all the documents, all the, we don't have item 19s in Canada. So I think the hardest transition is that portion there, right?
Sure.
Not being able to use item 19 from Canadian into the, because separate entities, right? So, or, so that's a whole gray area. Even the marketing, the US is 10 times bigger. So everything is 10 times more expensive, and there's 10 times more room to grow, right? So it's exciting at the same time, but it's, it can be a bit of a challenge. And I think there's a lot of pushback because it's an uncomfortable space, right?
Of course. And so when we did it, we had one of our other brands had already been in Canada, and we actually hired a consultant who was just a successful franchisee in Canada, because we realized he's like, even the verbiage you're using on your website does not relay well to like the Canadian culture. And, I think one of the biggest pain points was partnerships, because we'd say, oh, we locked down this great pricing. And then the Canadian franchisees would be like, well, what the hell, dude? These are like 3 times as much for us. So I think that was tough. You said, things in the US are 10 times more expensive because of the competition. Are you nervous about facing competition in the US because it's so highly competitive, or is it like that in Canada too?
So as far as the the competition, there's a lot more competition. There's a lot, I think maybe more like options, like, brokerage networks. There's, in Canada there's 1, in the US there may be 10, not that, but everything is the options are more, even like your portals, right? So up here, if there's 3 or 4 that we would use mainly as a hub, in the US there's, like 30, 40 kind of things. So it is a lot more to be, and it's a familiar, if you're in Canada, you just kind of know which portals you would use, or you're comfortable with that's working for your brand. So when you go into the US, it's like starting all over again, right? Like our other brand has over 50 units, Puddle with 12, say 15, and Toodaloo. So you're kind of comfortable with the zone that you're in. So, that's kind of the pain point.
And then because you have such a great culture, like you said, workers love to go to work in their flip-flops, and we want to make it fun. What are your plans or your team's plans to kind of manage that culture moving forward? Because I've seen a lot of like US versus Canadian franchisees within the same brand, and now that you guys are small enough that you can build it from the ground up, what are your plans to keep that Friday feel within all of your brands?
Yeah, that's probably the most important, like even onboarding, and that's from day one. Like, yes, okay, they're financially, but the biggest part is culture, right? That's all it is, because you need that same vibe with everybody from the first franchise partner to the 100th, right? So with our other brand with over 50 locations, everything was the same. It's that same feel, same vibe. Everybody's happy-go-lucky, ready to, go to work. So I think that's probably the hands down the most important part for us is keeping that. And how do you keep it? It's just through support. Like, you can't just onboard somebody and then say, good luck, let's see. Like, it's constant. Like, we're in communication with them. Like, we have weekly GSNRs, monthly roundtables. So there's always, we have, chat rooms, and you start to see, it's really working when you have, you have WhatsApp chats going on, and you have like the East bugging the West, not about just like hockey or saying, what's on your, when they start to do that little thing, you're okay, now things are cool, right? So that's what you want to kind of build that. I think
that's great, because I've worked with a couple franchisors, and they span from what I believe is the best version with what you're talking about. Once they get into the friendly banter and really creating those relationships, that's what you want. And then from the other side of people not wanting communication platforms because they think that it's going to spark a field for criticism, or we only want these chats to be for business stuff. And while, yes, you have to kind of monitor it, I think you're right in that in between the business lines is where those, what everyone says, and it's so cliche, those family relationships happen. Totally. So yeah, to see that going and to nurture that, I think is such a great piece of advice.
Yeah, even like we have like our internal, we have two on so that kind of head those portions, and even things start to go into the business zone, which is great. They'll still flip it over to let's play a little, because you gotta. It's like, let's relax a bit. We're cleaning pools. This is cool vibe. Everybody should be happy, So having that banter is you need it, right? Or else it does. For us, it doesn't work anyways. And not that that's other brands are great. They can do their own thing, but with us, it's got to be money comes, right? As long as everyone's happy, everyone's making money, everybody's in a good mood. That's what makes. Well, that's why you would buy a business. That's why I would think, anyways. Is we would go into that.
I would hope that's why you're buying a business.
Yeah, that's why you're buying your own business. You don't want to, work for somebody else. You do your own thing, right? At least you have that structure and that fun. It makes it fun along the way. So.
And I own one of the brands that was actually Canadian based, which is the Men in Kilts, which is the window cleaning, and they wear the kilts, and so they have that same sort of banter, and like you have to be someone who wants to go to the grocery store in a kilt. And so when you are buying into a brand that has the culture of fun, just like as a foundation, you're going to get those types of people that enjoy that,
So you get that, like our other brand was Gorilla. It was direct competitor with Men in Kilts, and Nick was fantastic, right? Like I
love him. Yeah.
Kills it. Like he's that. So that same vibe. Like guys, like just make it a little different, a little fun, and it's a kick-ass brand. I love it. So it's
exactly. It's I always say it's. Everyone's like, oh, what was the number one struggle when you bought your Men in Kilts? Because we have 4 different brands, and I was like, the kilts. And they're like, what do you mean? Like wearing them? I was like, no one tells you in the FDD that you can't dry a kilt. So now I have kilts just hanging all over the house to dry. And I'm like, what the hell is happening?
The neighbors are like, what's going on?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And my husband is notoriously not like the flashy guy. So getting him in a kilt for the first time, I was like, put it on. And he instantly puts it on, and then I see him just bouncing on our trampoline, and he's like, you gotta try this, I'm so free. I was like, a skirt? I was like, I've been there, thank you.
I think the thing I remember Nick mentioning it once. I met a couple of their guys there, some of their directors, somebody at a parking lot. We were doing, this is where our days when I owned, and I popped over and said, hey guys, what's up, how you doing? We're like, oh, and then one of them said, it's not do you have to wear the kilts? Or somebody said, oh, do you have to wear the kilts? And they said, no, we don't have to. You get to.
Yes.
You're awarded with that. So that kind of same, branding and it's the same. It's like you don't have to wear flip-flops. You get to wear flip-flops.
You get to wear flip-flops. Exactly.
You get to wear beach shorts, right? You get to play with beach, so that kind of, anyways, that's, I think that's fantastic.
And I love this because I feel like you're on the very same level of Nick, is where we had Nick come to our house, and it's just someone like, yes, you are the CEO of the company, and most people would think, oh, like I'm hosting the CEO. Nick, we were in the backyard drinking beers around the fire, and Nick was like, can I stay? You got any extra clothes? I was like, you want to sleep in a kilt? Because I got a couple of those laying around.
There you go.
So, but having that culture where people really feel like you get it, you're one of them, I think that's super important. And in the Canadian culture too, you guys, I mean, it's a stereotype, but you guys are just nicer. You're just more down to like be genuine. And I love that. And
Yeah.
I hope that you bring that more, with your brands into the US, because I think a lot of the times it just gets so much about the bottom line that you forget, to your point, why are you opening a business? You want it to be fun. You want it to be passion. You want to make money, that sort of thing.
Totally.
So switching a little bit to marketing. So, I still have trouble wrapping my head around this. So what do you guys do for consumer marketing? I'm sure digital is a little similar, but especially for like direct mailers, you guys don't have like every door direct mailer because you guys have those boxes, right? So talk to me a little bit about what your marketing mix looks like.
Yeah. So every route or every territory is based on 8,000 to 10,000 pool count. Right? Okay. So we go after market share. Sure. And doing that, we have different, digital, PPC, like everybody kind of uses that, right? We have different partners that are able to give us the exact pool counts, locations, where the pools are, residential side. As far as our marketing, we use, I don't want to go too far into it, right? The secret sauce, because, then I have to
don't share any secret. Just give me the general.
We use a 21 point portion of marketing, and it's not all door knocking, no cold calling. So what we do is we can run our entire business from your cell phone. So our entire platform, we own all of our CRM, all of our marketing is done in-house. So we have 6 full-time staff that members that are in charge of different portions of marketing in our social feed, or PPC, or our ground game. And then again, having our CRM system, Puddle Power, which is, we don't use a third party, so we have total control. Not only saves the franchise partners money, like we can charge them just what it costs to run, right? And then it's not, if I don't know who meant to kill it, but you would understand whatever third party you're using, you have to pay X amount plus X players per user, and so we have one flat fee, that's it. So we have one flat fee and it's it, and it's very affordable. So it allows because if at the end of the day, when the franchisees do good, we do good. That's how we make our money, right? So if you're performing well, then that's how we would perform well. So it keeps everyone on their toes, but that's different aspects of marketing, and some where people go through training like, oh my gosh, I've never even thought of that. So it all hooks, everything links with our phones. So everyone's a home-based business, right? Until they get to the point of 4 or 5 vehicles, they want to probably have a little office, but having that is very, very flexible, very, very fine-tuned.
Sure. Yeah. And for your marketing, have you been able to track back? So the reason I'm asking is because about, 10 or 12 years ago, we used to be able to send out a direct mailer or start a campaign and know we're going to get a customer for $150. So this is what we need to spend. Now in the US, especially, we're finding that because of digital, the brand awareness has skyrocketed. So we need 7 to 10 touch points, which make it a lot more difficult to nail down exactly what your customer acquisition is. Are you seeing that in Canada as well? Or is it a little bit more targeted?
So the 7 point. So that's kind of the general rule, right? So we have a 21 point.
Okay. Got it.
And it's down to a 90% success rate.
Wow.
If we wanted, someone says, I want to do $1 million this year, you can do $1 million, but through our system and our business, we can do a plug and play where we just put in that number. It's going to show how many, X amount we have to do, how many, door hangers, how many PPC, how much Facebook ads, Instagram, TikTok. Like one of our TikToks, our gentleman Kalana in North York, Toronto. And the other thing I always look back is we get a lot of the US when we're starting to do our chats and if it works up there, it's got to work here, right? Because it's freaking cold here sometimes, right? And we have it's cold. So, and then in the US, you look at some parts, everybody and their mother has a pool, right? So, but flipping back to like TikTok, we have a gentleman in North York. He's fantastic social media and going through our feeds and whatnot. For example, he does a post on the Monday and then it gets 7,000 views. By Friday, it has 51,000. 2 weeks later, it's at 1.3 million, and now it has over 9 million views. So
holy cow! And
then once we use that to geo-target his area, it's not meant to sell, but it's that full circle of brand awareness. They all kind of work together.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So
your software, you're saying, okay, here's my spend. Here's what I want to get, and it will like generate approximately what you need to do for your plan. Exactly.
Yeah. Like our 5-year roadmap is year 1 is X to X, X to X, 2, 3. And so as we're monitoring these numbers, and this is all part of our weekly GSNRs and our touch points is making sure we're hitting these numbers and how are we getting there, what's working, what's not with their business coach, right? So holding at the end of the year, if we want to do $1 million, say having 52 touch points along the way is going to make us monitor and help us get there a lot quicker than just, Maddie, good luck, let's talk and just, you know what I mean? So it brings back to that whole, like, you're alone, but you're not alone. You're in business by yourself, for yourself, but not by yourself. And that's totally true. It's very cliche, but that is the franchise world, right? If you don't, that's why people do it. This model works. Just follow the model and you'll kick ass, right? So it's kind of.
And what are you classifying as a touch point? Is that like say for a customer, is it when they see you? Is that an engagement? What do you mean by like 21 touch point?
Sorry, say that again.
What do you define as like a touch point?
A touch point would be like say PPC would be one touch point. SEO is one touch point. Facebook is one touch point. TikTok. So we have 21 that we call it the Wheel of Fortune, right? So when we hit this Wheel of Fortune and we're getting all these pieces of the pie together, which is all part of onboarding into training, right? We have 7 days prior, 5 days on site, 3 days in the field, shadowing. So it's very, like, we can onboard somebody as quick as 42 days, right? That's pushing it, but it can be done, right? And with these touch points or pieces of the pie, whatever you want to call it, is we're not, because we've changed industry, we're not seasonal. We're not, March to November. It's because we hit the commercial side, like any townhomes, or apartment buildings. These all have some type of water feature, pools. Most new builds have spa or something like that in it, where it gives them that, gives us that year-round revenue, right? So
and especially with commercial, like you can get one big commercial job and that can carry your revenue for a month.
It's crazy, and because we base on volume, it's just let's feed the machine, and say machine, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I have to ask. So the U.S. is where the labor market is just kicking our ass. Are you? Feeling that in Canada as well? I think service industries especially are just getting, So what are you, how are you guys kind of coaching through that? Is it just a lot of grind of like market, hire, retain, or, are you guys kind of just, what is it for you guys?
Yeah, great question. And it's, that is the biggest pain in the ass in service industry is employment, right? That's, so we have 84 systems and playbooks, which are, this is very systematic. When you need to hire an employee, you can pull from the admin section, the general manager, or the technician field, drop and post the ad, put it into the Indeed or your local marketing, your local employee, right? So it's once you hire them, it shows you there's a playbook on how does the interview look like. And some people have never interviewed before, right? Or never had employees, so that's a challenge. So it tells you what to do pre-interview, what to do during the interview. And then as far as employee retention, with your employees, they need to be incentivized or you won't. That's like, I found the key in service. I've been in the field myself when I was, 18 to 30. I still go in the field once a week and clean pools just to get the hell out of the office. Right. But it's that you need, because you got to keep it real. You got to think if you're an employee, yes, it's a little different because it's great for a technician. When you look, here's your job, Monday to Friday, 8 to 4. You're going to be in the sun. You're going to be around the pool all day. There's no weekends, no evenings, because that's when people. So we kind of get that benefit that way. So you're pulling, and we pull from a different field. We're more customer service based. So as opposed from the technical. So, and in our system, we use a different method for training where we can onboard in 8 days. So taking someone from zero to hero, where they know nothing about pools, to where they can fully run a system, run a route. So that allows it to retain a little more, and then incentivize programs and. Because that's what it's about for the tech. It's about growth and culture. Yes, showing them there's somewhere to grow here and awarding them, and then different incentivizes, right? If they say, well, here, Eddie, you're getting, $20 an hour and do as many as you can, that there's no incentive.
Right.
But as long as we have programs for obtaining new clientele, part of one of the ground games, one of the touch points is with the employees. So a lot of that has allowed us to retain. We don't really have that issue of, I shouldn't say don't. You still get, the people that you hire, and then they give you the best of the best, and then 3 weeks later they're gone, right? It's just, that's human nature. You can't change that. But so we haven't had a challenge really in that field at all, because it's not new. We've done it with the other brands like 50, 60 times. So there's no holes in this boat. It's just very, very easy.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah. And I like that you've streamlined it, because I think there is not as big. There's always a focus on, I'm not retaining my employees, or it's hard to market them. But the
Yeah,
training is the real kick in the ass. And I know that from
totally.
being a franchisee is it's like
Yep.
you can hire and, retention, obviously we're going to try and keep it up. But like you said, mostly it's a revolving door, no matter, which way you cut it. But it's
Yep.
the training that, a lot of times we don't have time for, or it's not built out. So having that is definitely a huge benefit for both the franchisee and the employee.
Oh,
Now,
totally. Yeah.
yeah. And we're going to come up on time, but I have a couple final
Oh, yeah,
questions.
sure.
What is your plan for franchise development in terms of like, what are your goals? What are you hoping to
Yep.
open for the remainder of this year and in 2024?
So for US based or Canada?
Both, baby.
Both. All right. So Canada, we always start with half a dozen for year one, try to just to, that's always good. But again, we're at 12. What are we in? What is it now? June, right? Sorry, brain fart. So it's June. Yeah. And it's like we're at, 12. So we'll probably close at maybe 15 to 20 for Canada for year one. The US, we're at 2. We have 2 more closing, and then we've kind of revamped our item 19, and because that's the big hard part for and Nick would know it's hard to do that transition. But I would say for the US, again, we're shooting for the initial 6, and then year 2 going from up to 15 to 20, and then 20 to 40 and 40. So it's a slow grow. This is not a marathon. It's not a race. So that's kind of the platform. But showing, we kind of use Canada as a not testing ground, but kind of like if working here, we have X should give us X in the US. So
that's great.
Yeah.
And why did you land on, 6? Was that just like a proven out, you wanted to do slow growth, or was that something that you?
Well, for Canada, yeah, that's the other thing. For US, it'd be like 60. Do you know what I mean? 6 to 6. Right. So in Canada, you have 6. It's just that you have that initial, even with an emerging brand, you have people, they know what they're doing. So again, because we have that history of, our last use is like 50 something units, and there's 0 fails. You can call any one of them. Everybody's happy. So that kind of, that culture, helps the brand. But yeah, so usually just 6 is a good, in Canada, good start. And then the US, so obviously be more. So.
And that's a great piece of advice, because I think a lot of times new franchisors are so excited. And I've seen a new franchisor open, and by October he had like 20 signed. And I was like, buddy, your support staff is 3 people. Like, this is probably, so, having that slow growth, and especially as an emerging brand, is super important.
And you need that. Yeah.
So my final question is a 2-parter, and I like to not prep people for this, even though they get mad at me, because I like it on the fly. Right on. So if you had a piece of advice to give to a franchisor, what would it be? And if you had a piece of advice to give to a franchisee, what would that be?
Don't do it.
I love it.
Do not do it. No. A piece of advice for the franchisor going from Canada to the US. Patience is, and listen. So, and listen to things that have worked, that have not worked, and patience. It can be frustrating, as anything.
Sure.
And not go, because you're going into unknown waters, right? That's really what we're going into, right? Initially, that would be my advice, is just patience, and not just listen to people and listen to what they say, and don't think, oh, well, I know my shit, because you don't know shit. These people know, right? That's, if you're going in, listen to them. They know. And then the second for the franchisee is make sure it's the right choice for you. Just, if you're going on that, like we run an exec model side, so it's a little different, but making sure it's something that fits yourself and your lifestyle, and follow the systems, and, don't be a cowboy. There's always, you're going into franchising for a reason, because the system works, the people work. And this, our culture might not fit with everybody, right? So no worries, you'll find something. But patience. I found that too, as a dad of 5 girls. They're all, I'd say they're like 20, 19, 17, 16, 14. So be cool, just relax. If you want to, don't have too many gray hairs. You want to just kind of just relax, and life's fun. It's not, it doesn't always have to be the grind, right? So just follow the system, find what's right for you. If it takes you 6 months, take 6 months, because it's life changing. So.
That's great. I love that. Well, Mark, thank you for coming on. If people want to connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
The best way is they can email mark@puddlepools.com or just go on our website, puddlepools.com, and they can go from there and inquire about franchising or servicing or any of that kind of thing.
Perfect. I love it. And I definitely you'll have to send me your company's store because I need to get some swag with is his name Puddle?
No, it's one of the kids' name, Flip Flop.
Flip Flop. I love it.
Yeah. One of our franchise partners' kids named it, so that was kind of cool. Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you again. And thank you for listening in on the art of franchise marketing.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Art of Franchise Marketing. This show is brought to you by NetCertive. We help franchise brands and multi-location businesses run localized digital marketing at scale. To learn more, visit netcertive.com.